Have you ever wondered what keeps someone full of life, mentally sharp, and physically strong even well into their 70s or 80s? I ask not only as someone who has studied human health for over 25 years, but also as someone who's always looked beyond outdated nutrition advice. And along the way, one humble food keeps resurfacing: the egg. For decades, eggs were labeled as the enemy of heart health mainly due to their natural cholesterol content. But modern science is rewriting that narrative. Research from Harvard and other top institutions now shows that for most healthy people, dietary cholesterol from eggs does not raise heart disease risk. On the contrary, eating eggs in moderation each day may be one of the simplest and most powerful ways to slow down aging. I once worked with a patient named Mr. Thomas, a 68-year-old retired engineer who reintroduced eggs into his diet after avoiding them for nearly 20 years. Within 6 months, we saw noticeable improvements in his muscle mass, bone density, and even cognitive function. Eggs, after all, offer more than just complete protein. They're one of the best natural sources of leucine for muscle repair, and choline, a key nutrient for brain and nervous system health, which many older adults are silently deficient in. But it wasn't just his body that changed. As Mr. Thomas began to feel physically stronger, he told me, "I feel less irritable and more motivated to get outside and socialize." That's the profound connection between physical vitality and mental well-being, something often overlooked in conversations about food. So the real question isn't should you eat eggs, but rather, how can you eat eggs in a way that supports graceful, healthy aging? In today's video, we'll explore 6 surprising benefits of eating eggs, daily benefits that go beyond the usual nutrition labels and into real-life longevity, muscle strength, heart protection, memory, support, and more. I'll also share the biggest cooking mistakes to avoid, and which types of eggs are best and worst for people over 50. If you've avoided eggs out of fear, I invite you to stay with me until the end, because you might just see them in a whole new light. Tap that like button to support thoughtful health content. Let's begin. Now that we've opened the door to what eggs can do for your overall vitality, let's take a closer look at one of the most powerful reasons to eat them: daily muscle preservation. As we age, one of the quietest yet most devastating shifts in our bodies is the gradual loss of muscle mass, a condition known as sarcopenia. This isn't just about looking toned or fit. When muscle declines, so does strength, balance, mobility, and ultimately independence. I've worked with many older patients who didn't realize the cause of their frequent falls or chronic fatigue wasn't just aging, it was undernourished muscles quietly wasting away. Protein is your body's frontline defense against that. But here's what most people miss: not all protein is created equal. Eggs offer a uniquely powerful form of protein, complete, bioavailable, and easy to digest, especially for older adults whose digestive capacity often declines. They contain all 9 essential amino acids, with a particularly effective dose of leucine, which acts like a key turning on the switch for muscle building. What makes eggs truly remarkable is how efficiently your body uses their protein. Scientific studies, including one published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, show that up to 48% of the protein in eggs is converted directly into body tissue. Compare that to meat or fish, where only about 32% is converted. You start to understand why eggs are a cornerstone in age-proof nutrition. And unlike red meat, which many seniors struggle to digest, eggs offer this muscle support without the heaviness, bloating, or metabolic burden. Take, for example, Ms. Evelyn, a 72-year-old retired teacher who came to me after months of feeling wobbly on her feet and mentally foggy. Her diet had been rich in plant-based protein shakes, but she avoided eggs due to cholesterol fears. When we reintroduced whole eggs just 1 or 2 daily, her physical energy began to return. Within weeks, her leg strength improved, her balance steadied, and perhaps most beautifully, her confidence came back. That's the intersection of physical health and mental well-being. Feeling strong again changes how you engage with life. But here's a common mistake. Many people still eat only the whites, fearing the yolk. In reality, the yolk is where much of the magic lies: choline for brain function, vitamin D for bone support, and healthy fats that enhance nutrient absorption. Stripping the yolk is like taking the engine out of a car and expecting it to run. To get the most from your eggs, pair them with nutrient partners like sautéed spinach, avocado slices, or a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. These help your body absorb fat-soluble vitamins and keep your energy steady throughout the day. And while we're at it, soft-boiled or poached eggs retain more nutrients than fried or overcooked ones. Let's not wait for a fall or fatigue to remind us what we've lost. 1 egg a day could help maintain the strength to lift yourself from a chair, walk confidently, or carry groceries. Simple things that add up to living fully. If you've never thought of eggs as part of your muscle health strategy, now's the time to reconsider. And if you've already experienced improvements after adding them back into your routine, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. Now that we've explored how eggs play a vital role in preserving muscle mass and strength, let's talk about something that's long been misunderstood and unfairly feared: cholesterol. More specifically, let's unpack the truth about eggs and heart health. For decades, The poor egg took the fall for rising cholesterol numbers and heart disease risk. It was an easy target, high in dietary cholesterol, often eaten with bacon or butter, and tangled in outdated nutritional advice. But what if I told you that modern science now paints a very different picture? Multiple large-scale studies, including research from the British Medical Journal and Harvard School of Public Health, have confirmed that for the vast majority of people, eating whole eggs does not significantly raise LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol. In fact, what we now understand is far more nuanced. Eggs tend to raise HDL, the good cholesterol, which helps shuttle excess cholesterol out of the bloodstream and back to the liver, supporting a more balanced lipid profile overall. Let me share the story of Mr. Allen, a 66-year-old jazz pianist who hadn't touched an egg in over 15 years. Why? Because his father had died of a heart attack, and he grew up hearing that eggs were outrageous. But Allen was constantly fatigued and had trouble focusing despite eating heart-healthy cereals and skipping dietary fat altogether. After working together and running a full lipid panel, we reintroduced organic, pasture-raised eggs into his breakfast just 3 times a week alongside leafy greens and olive oil. Within 3 months, his HDL went up, triglycerides dropped, and most importantly, his energy and mood improved noticeably. And that's where the emotional layer comes in. When your heart is healthier, your whole system responds. More circulation means better oxygen to the brain, steadier energy, and a greater sense of clarity and presence. Allen even said, "It's like I finally have the stamina to enjoy playing music again." Of course, some people are still concerned about cholesterol, and rightly so, especially if they have a personal or family history of heart disease. But here's the nuance. The real drivers of dangerous cholesterol are not eggs but processed foods, hydrogenated oils, and added sugars. These are the true culprits behind inflammation and plaque buildup in arteries, not the naturally occurring cholesterol in whole foods like eggs. Instead of eliminating eggs, we should focus on the bigger picture. Build a diet rich in vegetables, whole grains, nuts, and heart-supportive fats like olive oil or avocado. And yes, include eggs, but choose wisely. Pasture-raised eggs often contain more omega-3 fatty acids, which are known to lower inflammation and support cardiovascular health. The way you prepare eggs also matters. A poached egg with sautéed kale and garlic in olive oil offers far more heart benefits than a greasy fried egg with processed sausage on white toast. The context of the meal is just as important as the ingredient itself. So if you've been avoiding eggs because of cholesterol fears, maybe it's time to look again with updated science and fresh perspective. You might just find they're not only harmless, but quietly healing. And now I'd love to hear from you. Have you had concerns about eggs and cholesterol in the past? Have you reintroduced them into your diet? Share your experience in the comments. I read every one. Following our discussion on how eggs support heart health and cholesterol balance, it's time to explore something even more deeply personal for many of you's brain health. Because while it's easy to notice when we feel physically weak, cognitive decline is often more subtle. You forget a name, lose your train of thought mid-sentence, or walk into a room without remembering why. For many older adults, these aren't just passing moments. They're signs that the brain is quietly asking for help. And one of the most overlooked nutrients that could offer that help is choline. Choline doesn't get the same attention as omega-3 South or B12, but it plays an equally vital role in maintaining brain function. It's the raw material your body uses to make acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter responsible for memory formation, muscle control, and even mood regulation. When choline levels are low, you might feel scattered, sluggish, or foggy. And unfortunately, choline deficiency is incredibly common, especially in people who avoid eggs. Let me tell you about Margaret, 70-year-old former nurse who came to me worried about her memory. She wasn't experiencing anything extreme, just a gradual difficulty recalling things, especially names and dates. Her diet was rich in vegetables and whole grains, but she'd avoided eggs for decades due to cholesterol concerns. After reviewing her nutritional profile and cognitive history, we reintroduced whole eggs into her breakfast 3 times a week. The shift was subtle but undeniable. Within a few weeks, Margaret reported clearer thinking, fewer brain fog episodes, and even a boost in emotional well-being. "I feel more like myself again," she said. And the science supports her story. Studies from the University of Eastern Finland and the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition have shown that higher choline intake is associated with improved memory performance and a lower risk of Alzheimer's in older adults. And it's not just about memory. Choline supports the integrity of brain cell membranes, reduces inflammation in the nervous system, and is even tied to mood stability, making it a powerful ally for both mental clarity and emotional resilience. What's especially striking is how little choline people get today. The body can't make enough on its own, and most Western diets fall short unless eggs are part of the routine. Just one large egg yolk provides about 150 milligrams of choline, nearly 30% of the recommended daily intake. Compare that to plant-based sources, and you'll see how efficient eggs really are. If you're still cautious because of cholesterol, remember this: the brain needs fat and cholesterol to function. It's not about eliminating fat, it's about choosing the right kind in the right context. A boiled egg with greens and avocado is entirely different from cholesterol combined with sugar and trans fats in processed foods. For an added boost, pair your eggs with foods like spinach, walnuts, blueberries, or flaxseed, which provide complementary nutrients like antioxidants and essential fatty acids that support cognition and mood regulation. So if your mind's felt foggier than usual, or if you've noticed memory lapses becoming more frequent, don't panic, but do take action. Something as simple as bringing eggs back into your diet could help support your brain in ways you never expected. Have you experienced changes in your memory or mental clarity as you've gotten older? Have you tried using food to support your brain? I'd love to hear your experience. Share it in the comments below. After understanding how eggs support brain health through choline, let's now shift to something equally crucial as we age: the strength of our bones. Many people only begin to think about bone health after their first fracture or unexpected fall. But the truth is, bone loss begins silently in our 30s, and by the time we reach our 60s or 70s, it becomes a defining factor in whether we age independently or not. Osteoporosis affects millions of older adults, especially women, and is often underestimated until it's too late. But what if I told you that a small, overlooked vitamin in eggs may quietly be doing more to protect your skeleton than you realize? That vitamin is K2, a nutrient that's finally getting the attention it deserves. Vitamin K2 is distinct from the more well-known Ki found in leafy greens. While K1 helps with blood clotting, K2 activates proteins that direct calcium to where it belongs, your bones and teeth, and keeps it away from where it doesn't belong, like arteries or soft tissues. This dual role makes it critical for both skeletal strength and cardiovascular protection. Let me share the case of Helen, 65-year-old retired dancer who remained active well into her 60s, but after a sudden hip fracture during a minor fall, her confidence and her freedom dropped. We dug deep into her diet and found it rich in calcium and vitamin D, but lacking in K2. Like many, she never knew it mattered. She ate very little egg yolk and relied on supplements that didn't include K2. We adjusted her routine to include pasture-raised eggs 3 to 4 times a week, paired with K2-rich fermented foods and magnesium. Over time, bone scans showed stabilization, and perhaps more importantly, Helen felt steadier, stronger, and more in control. She even resumed teaching loom-packed dance to local seniors. "I thought my fracture ended everything," she told me, "but giving my bones what they needed gave me my rhythm back." Research backs her story. A 2013 study published in Osteoporosis International found that vitamin K2 supplementation reduced vertebral fractures by more than 60% in older women. And while supplements exist, eggs offer a natural, synergistic delivery system, especially when sourced from free-range hens, whose diets lead to significantly higher K2 content compared to conventional factory-farmed eggs. And this ties beautifully into the bigger lesson: nutrients don't work in isolation. Calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, and K2 all work in harmony. If we're loading the body with calcium but not providing the guidance system K2, we may inadvertently be hardening arteries instead of strengthening bones. From a lifestyle perspective, it's simple. Choose organic or pasture-raised eggs and keep the yolk, don't discard it. Complement your meals with leafy greens, fatty fish like sardines, and fortified plant-based milks. And don't forget movement. Weight-bearing exercise tells your body these bones matter. Keep them strong. So, the next time you crack an egg into a skillet, remember, it's not just breakfast. It's a powerful act of prevention. One small habit, repeated daily, could mean the difference between frailty and freedom. Have you ever considered the role of vitamin K2 in your bone health? Have you made any changes to support your skeletal strength as you age? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let's keep the conversation going. We've talked about bones, the brain, and the heart, but now let's turn to one of the senses we cherish most: our eyesight. Vision changes are one of the most common and most life-altering issues that come with aging. From difficulty seeing clearly at night to the gradual blurring of central vision, many older adults experience quiet erosion of sight that can deeply impact their independence and quality of life. But what if a small change at the breakfast table could help delay, or even prevent that decline? Here's the surprising truth. Eggs may be one of the most powerful natural protectors of your eyes thanks to 2 little-known antioxidants. They contain lutein and zeaxanthin. These are not just fancy nutrient names, they're correct pigments that concentrate in the retina, especially in the macula, the part of your eye responsible for sharp, central vision. Their job: to filter out blue light, reduce oxidative stress, and defend the retina from damage. And with our increased exposure to screens, LEDs, and artificial lighting, that protection has never been more important. I once worked with George, a 69-year-old photographer who came in with early signs of age-related macular degeneration (AMD). He was considering expensive supplements and treatments but hadn't changed his diet in years. Together, we restructured his meals to include 2 pasture-raised eggs daily, along with spinach, kale, and orange peppers. 6 months later, his ophthalmologist reported stabilized retinal health, And more importantly, George said he could now edit his photos for longer without eye strain. That, to him, was everything. Scientific research supports what we saw in George. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that people who consumed eggs regularly had significantly higher levels of both lutein and zeaxanthin in their blood, compared to those who took supplements alone. Why? Because the fat in egg yolks helps the body absorb these antioxidants far more efficiently than from vegetables or pills alone. And yet, most people are unaware of this benefit. They spend money on eye drops, glasses, and pills, but overlook a simple act of eating the whole egg, especially the yolk. That's where nearly all the lutein and zeaxanthin are stored. Egg whites alone won't do the job. If you're concerned about your eyes, start by sourcing free-range or organic eggs, which tend to have higher antioxidant levels due to the hen's varied, natural diet. Pair your eggs with other foods like dark leafy greens, carrots, and sweet potatoes to amplify their effect. And remember, eye health isn't just physical, it affects how connected we feel to the world. When you see more clearly, you read with ease, recognize faces from afar, and stay engaged in the activities that bring you joy. Protecting your eyes means protecting your ability to fully participate in life. So, if you're squinting more these days or noticing that things aren't quite as sharp as they used to be, don't just wait for it to get worse. Make vision protection a part of your daily routine, starting with the humble egg. Have you experienced changes in your eyesight as you've gotten older? What have you done to protect your vision? Share your experience in the comments. I'd love to learn from your journey. So far, we've uncovered how eggs support your muscles, heart, brain, bones, and even vision. But now let's turn to something foundational to your well-being, especially as you adjure your immune system. Aging doesn't just affect what we can see in the mirror, it quietly weakens our defenses from the inside. The immune system, once responsive and sharp, starts to slow down. We become more susceptible to infections, slower to recover, and more prone to chronic inflammation and invisible fire that fuels conditions like arthritis, heart disease, diabetes, and even cognitive decline. But the good news, some of the tools to fight back may already be in your kitchen. Eggs, when chosen and prepared wisely, can be a powerful ally in calming inflammation and strengthening immune function. Let me tell you about Linda, a 74-year-old retired librarian who often caught seasonal colds and struggled with low energy and joint pain. She didn't feel sick exactly, just perpetually run down. Her diet was mostly plant-based and low in fat. When we reviewed her blood work, we found her vitamin D levels were critically low and inflammatory markers slightly elevated. We made a simple adjustment. Linda began including pasture-raised eggs in her meals, along with turmeric tea and more leafy greens. Why eggs? Because they're one of the few whole foods that naturally contain vitamin D, a nutrient essential for immune regulation and inflammation control. Within 2 months, Linda reported fewer aches, improved energy, and surprisingly less brain fog. Research confirms what Linda experienced. A study published in Frontiers in Immunology noted that vitamin D modulates both innate and adaptive immune responses and may help reduce inflammatory cytokine activity, especially relevant during viral seasons. Meanwhile, omega-3 fatty acids in eggs, especially from hens raised on pasture, contribute to lowering chronic inflammation at the cellular level. Eggs also deliver B vitamins, especially B6 and B12, which play critical roles in the production of white blood cells and the formation of antibodies. These micronutrients support the immune system's ability to detect and destroy threats, making eggs not just a food, but a functional defense. Still, let's be clear, no single food will make you immune to aging, but eggs offer a dense, natural combination of nutrients that support the body's internal resilience. Of course, they work best when paired with a balanced, anti-inflammatory lifestyle rich in vegetables, healthy fats like olive oil, and low in ultra-processed foods. If inflammation is your concern, try pairing eggs with turmeric, ginger, garlic, or sautéed greens. These ingredients not only taste delicious together but synergize to enhance anti-inflammatory effects. And remember, soft-boiled or poached eggs preserve more nutrients than fried options. There's something empowering about knowing that a simple habit, like eating an egg, can quietly build your defenses. When you feel stronger inside, it reflects outside too. Your posture improves, your mood lifts, your mind sharpens. That's the beautiful link between physical health and emotional well-being. When your body isn't fighting fires all the time, you have more energy to live fully. So, what are you doing today to support your immune system? Have you considered eggs as part of your inflammation-fighting toolkit? I'd love to hear your thoughts and routines in the comments below. As we've explored together, the humble egg is far more than just a breakfast food. It's a nutritional powerhouse that can quietly transform the way we age. From supporting strong muscles and steady bones to protecting our hearts, brains, and vision. From fighting inflammation to fortifying our immune system, eggs offer real, tangible benefits that go beyond numbers on a nutrition label. They carry the power of prevention, of restoration, and of daily vitality. It's truly empowering is how simple it is to start. 1 or 2 quality pasture-raised eggs a day combined with greens, Healthy fats and a balanced lifestyle can help you age with strength, clarity, and dignity. You don't need radical diets or expensive superfoods, you just need consistency, good choices, and a willingness to nourish your body with what it actually needs. So now I want to hear from you. Have you experienced any changes since including eggs in your diet? Or maybe you're considering it after watching this video. Drop a comment below. Your story could inspire someone else who's on the same journey. If this video gave you something valuable, whether a tip, a new perspective, or just the motivation to take one step toward better health, please let us know. Comment with a number 1 if you found it helpful, or 0 if not. We appreciate your honesty either way. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to this channel and hitting the bell icon so you won't miss the next conversation that could impact your life. Thanks for spending this time with me. Take what resonates, try it out, and keep listening to your body. You deserve a life of strength, clarity, and joy at any age.